Hi, it's Don Quixote, and in this video I'm going to talk about the copyright and watermark bundle. So here I'm in Photoshop and I already opened the FX panel, but we have no presets yet. So to add presets, I'm going to click on the icon to open the quick menu and hit the bundle button. Well, we have a couple of bundles here, but we want to select the copyright and watermark bundle and press open. And now the presets are right in the FX panel. As usual, we have both the list view and the image view. And in the list view, I can select a preset and either create it or open the preset options. Or of course, I can select it as a favorite. So let's start with the Watermark Text preset. The Watermark Text preset basically creates a text somewhere in your image. And let's take a closer look into the preset options. And we see that we can define a name. So let's just say Don Quixote and hit replace. We have this so-called accordions, and when I open an accordion, I can enter even more options. So if I want to change the origin of the watermark text, I could click origin, and let's say I want to put it up here or maybe here and rotate it. Could even add a little gap, maybe too much. So that's pretty self-explaining. Let's just put it back in the middle, straight. Let's see what else we have. Of course, we do have the type, so let's just change the type to maybe to Lotto and maybe bold. Adjust the size, maybe the tracking. And let's see, a little bit more tracking. That's fine. Of course, I can also change the color, the opacity, the blending mode. I could add a layer style, but I'll get to that later. You can add a shadow if you want. Let's just try that. Maybe more opacity and slightly less size. And of course, we do have the layer settings and the group settings where we can change, for instance, the color for the layer, or we could also add it into a group and name the group. So here's the blue for the group and the red for the text layer. The nice thing about our presets is that you can save them as custom presets. So let's just say that's the Don Quixote, maybe change it to bottom and something like that. And let's hit the plus button and rename this to Don Quixote, bottom center, and change the text to something like this image is copyrighted, and let's just say we want to put it in the middle, rotate it, change the size to maybe 24. Let's see. That's nice, but still a bit too much gap. Maybe 10's enough. Perfect. And now we could save this as another text. And now I'm able to, let's just get rid of both. And now I'm able to just simply click on a custom preset and apply it to the image. I could either apply both or replace them. So that's the fun part about custom presets. The Watermark Logo preset is similar to the Watermark Text preset, except the fact that instead of a text, we're using a image or a logo. So when I hit the create button, I get an error message saying that no path has been selected for the image. So that's what I need to do first. I'm going to click on the preset options, and I see that there's no file. So first of all, I have to define the path to my logo. We support different file formats, and if you want to know which kind of formats we support, just hit the info button and click on the help icon. And this will direct you to our documentation page for this exact preset, where you find all the informations like the formats, picture formats, PSD, TIFF, Illustrator file, EPS, PNG, GIF, and JPEG, and a lot of other useful informations. So basically pretty much every logo file is supported. So let's hit the import button. And here we have a couple of logo files. I want to use the FX Panel Black AI, which is an Illustrator file, and click open. And for Illustrator files, we don't have any preview image, but since we're in Photoshop, we could easily create one. We automated that, so you just have to click the render preview button, and a preview will be generated. Well, in this case, the logo is black and the background is pretty dark, so just click on the logo and you can toggle between a bright and a dark background. So let's just hit the create button and see what happens. We imported the black logo into our image. It's black, I want to have it white, so I probably want to change the origin first to this corner right here. I want to change the appearance, activate colorize and select white color and replace the one we have. And this looks way better. Well, the colorize function works in this case because we have transparencies in our logo. But if I would change the logo to, let's say, a GIF with no transparencies, let's just turn colorize off for a second. Would import it here, you see there's no transparency, there's a white background, and we have the logo on the white background. And if I would now go and activate colorize and replace it, I would just get a white box. Okay, so you want to make sure you're working with transparencies when using the colorize effect. So let's replace this. Of course, we can also change the size in both pixels and percent. Let's just say 10% for now. We can also change the appearance by not doing colorize, but adding a layer style. And for that, let's firstly create a layer style by double-clicking on the layer, and let's just deactivate this. Deactivate the fill opacity. And let's say we want to add a stroke, white color, maybe 2 pixels from the center. That looks quite nice. And let's just say new layer style, white stroke, 2 pixels, press OK. And now to select the style from this drop-down menu, I have to quickly exit the panel options and re-enter so the list can be updated. And if I go to appearance and select the style, I now see the layer style I just created. And let's just change the origin back to the middle. Hit replace, and that's it. So I could do this pretty much with any other logo as well. And layer styles really have a lot of options, so you can add a nicer shadow, you can add a gradient color, you could do a couple of strokes. So we're pretty sure you're going to find a watermark style that's going to fit your style. Watermark Pattern will create a pattern overlay on your image with either a text or a logo. Let's just hit the create button and see what happens. Well, you see we have a text and it is copied multiple times. And when we open the preset options, you can see that we can modify the text, obviously. So let's just do FX panel. We can change both type, size, and tracking. We can change the appearance by, for instance, the opacity, blending mode. But let's just leave this for now. And the most important part is the pattern options. So we can change the vertical gap, which is this gap here. We can change the horizontal gap, which is the gap between the single words, and we can change the angle. So let's just put this a little bit higher, this one too, and we can change the angle to both negative and positive. Let's just make the gap a little bit smaller. Of course, we have our layer and group settings, but instead of the text, we can also use a logo file. So let's just select a logo, maybe this, and replace it. It's quite large, so let's set the size to about 10%. We can use both pixels or percent. That's still a little big, maybe 7%. And obviously we can change the opacity. And as usual, we can save the custom preset. So let's just say this one's FX panel logo, and then we can change the file and maybe the angle and the pattern. Let's see. And we should also change the color to white. Perfect. And this one we're going to name FX panel text. And now I can toggle between both the image logo or the text logo. The Watermark Disturber creates a text or a logo combined with diagonal lines. Let's just hit the create button to see what it actually does. Well, you see we have a text and we do have those lines, but to really see how we can change and adjust it, let's just open the preset options. Of course, I can change the text, but let's just leave it for now, as well as the type, size, and tracking of the text. But the important part is the disturber accordion. Let's just bring back the factor to 1 and see what happens. We now see that we have a text, we have a gap between the text and the lines, and we have diagonal lines from one corner to the other one. So let's just decrease the padding and see what happens. And let's also decrease the stroke size. We then have an option called no offset, and if I deactivate it, the text will be splitted and created at the corners. So let's just add a little bit more padding and set the factor to 2. We now see that the text is right at the corner, and if you want to get rid of this, you just simply activate no offset. Of course, you can also add a logo, so let's just change the appearance to white, and let's see. The size a little bit too big. Of course, we can change the size to either pixels or percent. Let's just stick with 10%. We can change the opacity. And of course, we can change the blending mode or the color. A QR code is a barcode that can be read with your mobile phone and can contain informations like a website link or a phone number or a business card. And with our QR code preset, you're finally able to create QR codes right in Photoshop. Well, if I want to create a preset and I hit the create button, I get an error message saying that there's a QR code missing. So we do have to enter the preset options first, and you see file not found because we did not create any QR code yet. So what you want to do is you want to go to the QR code section, and you see we have different kind of types. We have a link, text, email, business card, phone, SMS and WhatsApp. And let's just start with a simple text. And I can enter a text, something like, I love the FX panel, and hit the generate QR code button. And now the QR code was created. You can take a cell phone and take a picture of it just to make sure it works. And since the QR code is now imported into the preset options, I can create it on my picture. Let's just hit the replace button, and here's the QR code. Of course, we have all the options that are available for other presets as well, like the origin tool with our gap, the size in both pixels and percent. So let's just say we want to have it to 10%. And I'm just really quickly going to hide the preview image so we have a little bit more space in here. But we also do have some styling methods like the code color. I could, for instance, add a gradient to the color code with a special angle. Of course, I can define my own colors. Or just a simple regular color, like maybe this red here. And we can change the background color as well. So let's just maybe take this yellow color here, hit replace, and there it is. But we always recommend to use very high contrast to make sure that every mobile phone can really read the barcode. In this case, since the background is pretty black, I could also get rid of the background and say no background in here and switch back to white code color, hit replace, and this should pretty much work. We can also, let's just add a color here and go back to white in the code. Yeah, we can also change the padding to, let's say, maybe 15%. So the gap between the frame, the border, and the code is getting a little bit bigger. We could also add some round corners. So you see, we do have a bunch of styling options here. And of course, you can use the custom presets to save this. Let's just say love. But of course, we can also change the QR code type to email. And let's just say, look at this, the FX panel. It's amazing. And sometimes if the button doesn't work, you just have to exit the preset options and go back, and then it should work. So let's just generate a new barcode and hit replace, and there it is. I could also save this as an email custom preset, and now I can toggle between these both options. If you want to learn more about QR codes, just hit the info button and click on the help link. And right here on the website, you see everything you need to know about the different QR code types, how they look like, how you can adjust their look and their appearance. The file info preset has no visual impact actually, but what it does, it creates or it overrides the file info. Every image has a file info like the description, keywords, copyright notices, the IPTC files with your address, phone, email, websites, or whatsoever. So if you want to fill this out with one click only, that's what the file info preset is for. So let's just open the preset options. And first of all, I can define a status for every single field. I could either ignore everything or delete everything. Well, let's just set it to ignore for a second. And let's say I want to change the copyright status. What I can do, I can click on this button and we see the caption right here and set it from ignore to override. And now I have a drop down, and let's just say I want copyrighted, and I also want to override the copyright notice and add Dunk Shot. And I also want to override the URL and say fixpanel.com. And let's hit create and maybe open file info so we don't have to enter it separately. Hit create. Now I can go to the basics and I see that the copyright status has been changed. I can also add keywords, and instead of overwriting, I want to add a keyword. Let's just say retouched. Hit it one more time and we see the keyword retouched was added. If I apply the preset one more time, you'll notice that the keyword was added to everything that was in here before. So if I want to really have just retouched in there, I would have to change it to override. Hit create and now it's gone. You can set up the IPTC contact files, add your addresses, website, mobile phone, or whatever you want. And once you have created this, just save it as a custom preset. This way it won't get lost. And you can also create file infos for different persons. And now you just simply select a new picture, hit create. Oh, maybe we should get rid of the open file info and overwrite the preset by holding the shift key and clicking on this button. And now I can really just enter my file info into every single picture.